Kino, do you want to go out? Good boy. Hi, my channel mammals. Guess what? I'm actually going to tell you about our next video. We've been forgetting to tell you about the videos every time. And this time we decided it's time to tell you. So let's get comfortable. Well, this series of videos that we've been showing you, let's see, we've gone up to number 8, I believe, and we never really told you much. Maybe at the very beginning, I think I did give you a little bit of an introduction, and maybe one other videos of the videos I gave you a wee bit more. But we've noticed a lot of people are coming to visit who don't really know where they are. They're just so disoriented. They're just not sure. They say, "Oh, do you live there? Oh, does someone live there? Oh, is it a museum?" They've had every question. And we've just thought, well, it's time to refresh, just because some people who are new coming don't really know what it's all about. We happen to have lived in that house during the development of what's known today as the movement of MacKenzie-Childs. And so a lot of the people that started following us 2.5 years ago or more were recognizing the name MacKenzie-Childs and wanted to see, well, what is this? And so right away their interest was and connection was with the product that they had been collecting. Some of them for many years, knowing us all the way back, and some from a recent time. When one of the main questions that kept coming to thought with people was, how did this start? Where did you get your inspiration? That's always a big question for artists or writers or anybody that is coming up with innovations. And the other question is, can you show us the elements of the product, of the objects that we made, and how their origin, what are their origins? And I just thought, oh my goodness, the last thing I want to do is sit down and recreate these things in a whole new world that we're in now. It just didn't make a lot of sense, but I felt for the people, because I know if I read a good book or saw a good movie, or I would want to know all about the person that made that movie or that book or that music. I mean, wouldn't it be fascinating to hear all about Mozart's childhood or Beethoven's boyhood, or all the different, things that people go through, the periods in history, and the way people thought at the time, and the way that people thought as things progressed, and in the end, and so forth. So I understood that. I thought it was a fascinating thing that anybody would be naturally asking about. Actually, the people that bought our house and own our house and have developed what once was our house, I say our house meaning from before to forward, now it's their house. And they even changed the name to signify the change in its in the way it can be viewed. When we used to have it, Heather, our daughter, called it Home Again. That was its name. And it was just a natural thing, because we were always saying something about, when are you coming home again? And so, but now it's called the Evermore, which I love. It's beautiful, isn't it? It comes straight out of the Bible, and it expresses so much of a sense of home on the highest of levels. Just this wonderful sense of ongoing heaven right where we are. So the people that bought that house that we occupied for 30 plus years, said, I asked them if we could maybe show some of the, oh, I know, we went there in the middle of the night with a boat boy, a wonderful boat boy from Mexico. He was such a fine man, and he didn't know where he was going, because we didn't have very many conversations between us, because he didn't speak English. But the funny thing is, he didn't need to speak English. We seemed to understand each other the whole working relationship. And we're still very good friends with this fellow and his dear little children. We brought him up there and showed him to his quarters, and he was kind of looking around thinking, where am I? What is this? Where are we? Where did we come from? Where are we? It was about 2 o'clock in the morning. And the husband and the wife, the mother and the father there were away. And they knew we were coming, of course, and their son lived out in the Carriage house at that time. And so we were good friends with everybody in the family. And so I said, would you like to go for a mobile tour? So we brought our phones and we creeped all around, because I didn't know where anybody was or where Elias was staying, the son. So I thought, I don't want to disturb anybody, but I'll just give you a little creep through. So we creeped through closets and cupboards and in and out and up and down ladders, stairways and passageways. And he still didn't know where he was, but he started noticing all these elements of the woodwork and the floors and the ceilings, and he just thought, this is beautiful, and he'd stop and he would just puzzle over it. And I thought, you know what? This is the place that has little notations. It's kind of like a sketchbook. It was a sketchbook. It's where we developed ideas, and then they would transfer over to product, or sometimes it would transfer the other way, but usually it was started at home and went over to the studio, and just all the work and the thought in kind of trying to bring that old farmhouse into our own started to be magnified and manifested right there all around us. And there were still remnants of that left, even though it had already been owned, and our friends had moved their life and their way and into this space. And so that's how we got started. And I asked them if it would be okay if we just did little. I didn't know how much we would cover. It just didn't even occur to me. I hadn't really looked at anything close in many, many years. So it wasn't really a hard and fact project. It was just something, maybe we could do something and take images and describe a little bit about them. So anyway, I thought it would just be a few little snippets. It turned into, now the final video makes it 13 videos. This next video is video number 10. So this part is an interesting part where we worked together with the people who own the house to try to bring it into what their needs would be for that space, for the Carriage house space. And it was a really fun and different way of working. I'm not going to tell you about that story right now. I just want you to watch these next few videos, and then at the end, I'm going to tell you an incredible, ultimate, I guess, demonstration of God's love that just came into my experience only a couple of days ago, that explained something that had never been explained before about my thought of home.
Hi there! Hello, all you channel mammals. It's so great to see you today. I live in there. I bet you don't believe me. But you know what I was just thinking? I thought I should show you some of the pots that we made. Look. Isn't this beautiful? This is one of our terracotta pots. These are a special kind of terracotta. I'll tell you more about it as we walk around. Come here. Look. There's another one. This is an elliptical pot. You see, it's pointed on the ends, and it comes like an ellipse, and pointed on the other end. Is that beautiful? See if there's some more. Oh, this is a demi-lume pot. You see? It's flat across the back. It could go up against a wall. And look, isn't that beautiful? So this is the natural color of the pot. And as it dries, see how it's sort of salty looking on the top? all the natural soluble salts come to the surface. But because we carve this part, after it's leather hard, we call it leather hard. It's kind of like, feels like leather before it's fired. So you see the soluble salts have been carved off of this. Here's a little touch of soluble salts coming through on the tips of the crests. Isn't that pretty? I love it so much. And then here's another one, another ellipse. Oh, it's the mate to that one you just saw. And then here's another little one. This one's called Plain Jane. And she also has a crest. And her name is Plain Jane. And this is a black slip made of manganese. So it fires dark. And this is called, oh, what is this one called? Square? I forgot what it's called. This one's our friends have this because it was something we glued back together that was damaged in shipping. But they're very strong. This is called Square. Oh, it's got such a great name and I can't remember it. I'm so sorry. But it's also one of my favorites. I think. Nope, that's nothing to do with us. Oh, well, this one. Oh, this is a really nice one too. It's another ellipse. But it's just simple spiral stripes going around it. And the black slip and then the clay. Now, I'll tell you a little bit about it. This clay comes from a very special region of Italy called Impruneta. I don't know why. I don't know why I know it so well, but Impruneta. And this is called Impruneta clay. And it's only mined in this one little village in Impruneta. And it's a special clay because it doesn't crack in the winter from the frost. And you know, Italy has very high alpine mountains, right? So for all of the building ornaments, you know, up on the tops of those grand buildings that they make in Italy, big grand houses and all, they have big urns and sculptures and all kinds of things. And they need to be able to be frost resistant, or else they would all be broken by now after hundreds and hundreds of years. So there's such a small amount of this pottery, this clay, that they don't let anybody but the church, the Catholic Church, use it now, which they use for reliquary and for all kinds of statuary and so forth. But we are the only people that they allowed to use Impruneta clay. They never allowed it to leave and be used. But they let us use it because Richard and I had done so much for the Italian economy and for the Italian arts that were being lost. And they were just so grateful for what we'd done that they let us use this clay as the only people to use it. So it's very special. And we still have some pieces still left in our collections for people to buy, but it's becoming less and less. Oh, I remember what that one's called. It's called Straight Man, this one. Isn't that funny? I thought that was a very elegant name, Straight Man. Okay, so, well, as I told you, I thought whilst I was up here, again, I only brought up clothes to wear for each day so you could tell which day it was. And I thought, and it just so happened that the clothes that I brought were all clothes that I made. So it's not all of my clothes that I've made, but it just so happened that they're not special clothes, like dressing to go to a ball, but it might be interesting to some people. So I'll tell you about this little jumper. Okay, well, this was also made rather recently, when the only place we ever go, if we go anywhere, we really don't go anywhere much, is to secondhand stores. And this was you know, I don't even remember what it was like, but it was some fabric for a very large skirt. And so I just took the whole thing apart and used the fabric. And when they're in dark colors, it's usually a winter fabric. So I thought it was kind of fun to have a summer fabric, summer weight fabric, that was darker colors. So anyway, I took the whole thing apart. It didn't even have pockets. Now it has pockets. And it didn't have anything like this. So see what I did? I stitched, you see the stitching? I stitched this ribbon and this plaid, this cotton plaid on for a ruff at the bottom. And I didn't mean for this to happen, but this ribbon is kind of stiff. And it just, it kind of stands out because this is such lightweight fabric, it kind of stands out. Isn't that funny? And then I made straps, and I just wear it with a blouse. But you know what I noticed about this blouse when I put it on today? I love when things are mended. Okay, do you see the mending here? Can you see that? See that little, well, you know why it's like that? It's because I always used to wear a backpack only. I never had a satchel, I just had a backpack. And you know how a lot of times you just put your backpack on your back with just one hand? Well, because I'm left-handed, my left shoulder gets all the wear and tear. And so my blouse got worn. See, my bone is right here? And so it was rubbing on my blouse, and my bone made the blouse wear away here. So I took a piece of fabric from down at the bottom of the blouse. This blouse is very long, and I was able to get the exact same fabric, and it's just patched by hand. You see, it's all by hand. Well, I just wanted to show that to you because it kind of tells me a story of things that I used to have, like my backpack. I had a backpack made by Bumblebee, which is a Swedish company, and I loved it because it was very sporting in a very bizarre way. And I just loved it, but it's since not with me. But I think I either left it someplace or somebody took it someplace. So, and then I wanted to show you another one of our necklaces. It's our crest made of pewter and little black beads, and these are little millefiori. These are called millefiori. These are made in Venice, and they're little tiny, and do you know what it means? It means thousands of flowers. Millefiori. And all those little beads are made with thousands of flowers. And black glass beads as well. And you can make this any length. It doesn't have to be that long. You can make it way up here or even longer than I have it right now. So, okay, now let's go off on our adventures. I thought we should go into the carriage house right now. We'll see what's there. Walking on wooden shoes on cobbles is a little tricky. Wait to tell you this story. Now, you don't really know what this is all about yet, but in a minute you will. Can anybody read this? I wonder what language that is. And look at this beautiful little picture. Maybe you can read this better. Okay. The plot thickens. Look. You know what I love about this room? It's not what you think. You see how the shadows, no matter what time of day, you see how the shadows enunciate the shapes? Isn't that great? There's one thing left over from long ago. See that hook up there? It's a pulley system. And it was a pulley for a mosquito net that used to come down over a bed that was right here. And then the mosquito net, when it was summertime, we would let it come down from the ceiling and it would lay over the bed to keep the mosquitoes out. That's the only thing left. Okay, now, what a story this is. It really is a story, isn't it? It is a Bible story. Richard and I were going to meet Frederick one evening, our grandson, in Manhattan, and it was a rainy, dark night. And we were walking along, the rain was going down our necks, and it was just cold and rainy, and it was just pouring down, you know, those big raindrops that come on a cold autumn day. And we were walking along, and all of a sudden, in the dark, I stumbled on something. And I backed up, and I saw something on the ground. And I could hardly pick it up. I just picked it up as hard as I could, and it was just so heavy I could hardly carry it. And I said, Richard, look at this. What is this? And it turned out to be a Swedish Bible. A Swedish Bible on the streets of New York that was this thick, at least. And the size of these pages, like this and this. The leather of the book was coffered like a ceiling, deep sections and then big ridges all throughout. It was incredible. So I thought, oh my gosh, somebody wouldn't have just dropped this. Where does it come from? So I stepped inside of a little bodega that was on the corner there, and I showed the book to the man, and I said, do you know anything about this? It's a Bible. And he said, and he in a strong Slavic accent, he said, oh, I've been, you know, I can't imitate them, I'm sorry. I've been kicking it around all day. He said, I'm sure God is going to punish me. And I said, well, God won't punish you if you lend us a bag to put it in. And so he gave us a big bag, and we put it in the bag. And it took both Richard and me to carry it. We were just walking down the street. We finally met up with Felix, and we kept trading off between the three of us, holding this thing between us, two and then another two, and back and forth. We brought it to Anne and Chet. It's after they already lived here. And this was just a bare room, and we thought it would be so beautiful to take it apart because it was no use to anybody. None of us spoke Swedish, and also it was kind of, you know, starting to separate. So we took the pages, and now they're more seen than they ever would have been, right? Ever before. And doesn't it look like a beautiful checkerboard? But it's just the natural wall and the color of the paper that makes it this way. And also up there, you see up in that little alcove up there, it's a ledge and then an alcove. All the colored, all beautiful colors, colored plates are up there. They're called color plates. So this is it. So this is just about all I can offer to tell you about this room. I love this story. It's just such a beautiful, I think it just turns to be such a beautiful idea. Isn't this a beautiful lamp? And look at the beautiful background. That was painted by our dear friend Felicity. She used to work at our studio at MacKenzie-Childs, and she was a Sunday school pupil of mine when we lived in England. And she came to visit us, and she wanted to stay, and so we worked on her citizenship, and she eventually became a citizen of the United States. And look at this beautiful mural that she made here. And this is one of our lamps. And look at how it just looks like the rising sun, doesn't it? It has so much of the same feeling about it. This is a beautiful parrot and sits on his own rock. And this is another one of our lampshades that it changes the look when you turn it off. It from a distance, well, it looks kind of, you see the polka dots and the stripes are kind of distant. And this glows in the dark. Look at the little roses along here. And in the dark, this glows. Let's see how it changes. So now it looks mostly the black, just as before it was mostly the polka dots, and now it's mostly the black. Okay, and I can show you some more things. See these two chairs? Those are what we call wing chairs. They don't look like the classic wing chair, but like a Chippendale wing chair. These are definitely our wing chairs. But I'd like to show you up close this beautiful fabric that, if you look closely, you see how supple they are? Just like fabric. And when you sit in them, oh, they are so wonderful. And look how they're leather bound on the corners with the way we put the rattan together. Well, this looks like fabric and feels like fabric, but it's not fabric. It's bark. Yes, it's bark off of rattan, cut into delicate little pieces called tatami. Delicate, small pieces. And it seems to keep some kind of resilience and suppleness. And then this is the skin. Like if you cut this into thin pieces, this is what you would have. And then part of it is dyed black, weaves together, and then part of it is dyed, not dyed, just natural. And then the leather bindings here as well, and here. And so, and each of these are bound in leather, each of these diamonds, all throughout here too. But look how strong it is. Look at these big, heavy pieces of rattan down here, bound together like kontiki. It could probably go across the sea as a raft. It has so much strength. And then these lamps, these pair of lamps, are also ours. I love these two. They're so funny. They remind me of socks, and guess what we named them? Sock lamps. Because they look like a pair of striped socks. I hope you like them. And look how Anne matched them to these beautiful striped pillows and this beautiful ochre color. No, it's more like I don't know what, glowing sunrise. It's so gorgeous, the color. Okay, now we'll go on into the next area. Ready? Oh, wait, not yet. We have to sit on the on the ball. You know how everybody wants to be on the ball? Well, you actually can be on the ball. It is the most comfortable seat in the whole world. And do you know why it works? I know most people have things like exercise balls. Well, these are not exercise balls because we filled them with ballast. So, do you hear that sound? We put sand inside of them, so they're weighted, and they can't just roll across the room. When you sit on them, they really stay where you want to be, and just, I don't know, they're really fun. We've even had a dinner party where we used those as the chairs. It was called the Yankee Ferry Boat Ball, and everything was about balls, even the chairs. And here's our crest. This is after MacKenzie-Childs. We made a new crest. I think I've shown this to you before, maybe. V, and then this is like an ampersand. It's just a diamond. R, Emprise, Victoria and Richard. Emprise, and then these are the down of the thistle, and Richard's kilt done in embroidery. Isn't that beautiful? And this is an example of how it's become common now because it's influenced almost the whole world. But just this oddness of different things together that used to irritate people. It looked kind of gypsy-like, or it looked like people didn't have a good sense of color. And so it's kind of fun to play with how society becomes so rigid and then how it becomes loose when it's done with love and humor, good humor. That's the catch. That's what we all need. And when you find yourself on the ball, you have to have a sense of humor, right? These are pretty coordinated looking to our eye today. But at the time that we made these, it was still quite shocking that this red was not the same as this. It didn't match. But everything has changed since then. So it's hard to even look back and think about it. Or stripes and this strange weave here, and then this kind of chintz, and then this stripe on the back, and I don't know, just everything doesn't really seem like it could quite go together. These look more coordinated to us today, actually. Some are a little bit more extreme. But at the time that they were made, they caused such a ruckus because they didn't fit with the rules of the time about design. So, okay, now we really will move on. Let's go to the other side of the carriage house.